Katie Novak, and we are unpacking the leadership drivers in the MTSS Blueprint. So if we want to build a really robust system that meets the needs of all learners, we have to focus on implementation science, or having drivers that allow us to create a system that eliminates the barriers that prevent all students from learning in classrooms with their peers, that support them academically, behaviorally, and social-emotionally. And to do this, we want to think about the importance of leadership. And the leadership drivers can be really broken down into two aspects of leadership, which is adaptive leadership and technical leadership. Now, technical leadership is much more about nuts and bolts, creating schedules and dismissal procedures. It's very easy to fix and can actually be solved usually with just a short requirement. Adaptive leadership, on the other hand, is all about engaging stakeholders and family and community engagement and shared responsibility. And so we want to think about the importance of balancing adaptive and technical leadership in order to drive really important change. What is so cool about the leadership drivers is how closely they align to the newly adopted Ed-Eval rubric for school administrators, which was adopted in August of 2018. So first, when we're thinking about leadership, the first thing we want to talk about is shared responsibility. This concept of working in a model of distributed leadership and providing educators and students and families with a voice in improvement planning. It's also very important to involve other stakeholders in decisions about resource allocation. As you think about the barriers that prevent your district from really optimizing the needs of all students, you have to realize that the resources that we have are fairly finite. And where we choose to invest those resources is really critical for the outcomes of students. And we need to do this, of course, in partnership with families and communities, because family and community engagement is equally a part of this distributed leadership model when we think about adaptive leadership and getting everybody on board. And lastly, it's really about this long-term strategic planning, improvement planning, and trying to work with all stakeholders through adaptive leadership to understand what some technical challenges are that need to be addressed through either long-term planning or resource allocation. And when working together, it's really important to see how this fits into the Ed-Eval rubric. When looking at the new Ed-Eval rubric, you'll notice 4 standards. And those 4 standards actually align pretty closely with the types of tools that are in the MTSS toolkit when unpacking the leadership drivers. When you're thinking about, in an MTS system, building shared responsibility and collaboration, you'll notice under Standard 4 in professional culture, the importance of consensus building, shared vision development, and response to disagreement and conflict resolution. This is also about creating a mission and core values and making sure that there's a commitment for all people to have high standards. And so in doing this, we really have to share responsibility and collaborate with all educators in order to build this system. Also, when talking about resource allocation, we can look back at the school level administrator rubric and see under management and operations, it's really all about this concept of creating an environment where there's fiscal systems that support the needs of all students. It also asks us to look at technical things like schedules and time for teacher collaboration, and whether or not we have recruitment and hiring strategies that truly work in the best interest of our students. We also talk about the importance of student, family, and community engagement in leadership drivers, which is Standard 3, which really talks about the importance of sharing responsibility with students and families, communicating in culturally proficient ways, and then always ensuring that we're addressing family concerns and barriers in our improvement planning. And then lastly, it asks us to create a scientifically based planning model in MTSS. And this scientifically based planning model addresses all aspects of this educator rubric, and that we need to ensure that we have a standards-based curriculum, a variety of assessment methods, and that our educator evaluation system is robust in increasing teacher competency. We also have to ensure that we have a process of data-based decision-making, that our management and operations is addressed through long-term strategic planning, as well as the professional culture of our school and family and community engagement. So in unpacking these leadership drivers, you'll be able to see a very, very smooth parallel and crosswalk between the new Ed-Eval rubric, our responsibilities as instructors, both in technical and adaptive leadership in schools, and the outcomes on our own professional evaluation as we build a multi-tiered system of support.